everyone, it's Annette with ASCardDesign. Today I'm going to show you how you can turn any photo into a beautiful handmade card. And I'm showing you here some photos I took of morning glories from my own garden. And I made a couple copies just in case I made a mistake, but we're going to use these in our card. And I'm going to be using some paper from this paper pad from the Paper Studio, and it's called Distressed Floral. And all the supplies I'm using will be in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you the paper I chose here. Now, it was really kind of hard to select, but I ended up going with this pattern right here. I felt like the blues that were kind of like a blue purpley color and went well with the photo. So you do want to pick paper that complements your photo. But I'm just showing you here the pad. Just so many gorgeous papers, and I will be using them in future products for sure, or projects for sure. But I've already cut down my paper, and the panel layer is going to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and that matte layer is like a blue purple that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So I just cut those with my Tim Holtz guillotine paper trimmer. You can use Gina K Master layouts if you have those, or just hand cut them with your paper trimmer. So I am going to use Master Layouts 4 from Gina K, and I'm going to use these 2 heart dies. Now, one is a smaller heart and one is a larger, and the smaller heart is has like a stitched layer design. And I'm bringing in my Gina K Intercut die cutting machine, and I am going to set it to die cut, and I just keep that pressure setting right in the middle there. I really like this die cutting machine because it's just so easy to adjust it for whether you're embossing or die cutting. But we are die cutting today, and like I was telling you before, these dies, one has the stitched edging there, and that's the one we're going to use for our pattern paper, and then we'll use the larger die for the photo. So we're going to go ahead and just find where we want this position, and I'm just trying to see if my pattern has an orientation, and it kind of does. I was focusing on some leaves there, making sure they're going in the right direction, but pattern is kind of busy, so I don't think anybody's going to notice, and anyway, it's going to get cut out, as you're going to see here in a second. So I'm just taping it down so it doesn't move because I want it in that particular spot. And I'll run it through the die cutting machine. And you'll see here in a second, the piece that comes out is the stitched piece, which we're not going to use today. I just kind of want that die cut area out of the panel. But that stitched heart I will save for another project. But we want that aperture, that heart shape, because our photo is now going to get cut out of a larger heart, and we'll put that underneath later, and you'll see how that comes together. So here I'm just looking at both of my photos. They're very, very similar, but they're just a tad different, and I'm just kind of looking at them to see which one I want to use, where I want to position that heart die. I really, probably spent way too much time on this than I needed to, but that's just my brain, and, I could have laid it anywhere and it would have looked just as good. So I'm just, again, going to tape that down so it doesn't move once I get it to where I'm happy. And you can see I'm fidgeting with it just a little bit, but I wanted some of those light greens over there on the right, and really like that green and purple contrast. These morning glories come up every year in my garden. I just let them go to seed in the fall, and those seed pods open up and the seeds fall, and in the spring they germinate, and I have more beautiful vines, and they do attract hummingbirds. So there's that beautiful heart shape. And okay, so next we're going to move on to, I can't remember what I did next. Let's see. We're just going to go ahead and do some stamping. That's right. Want to put a greeting on the panel, because that's going to be on the front of the card, and I want to do it before I glue anything down, because I am going to do some heat embossing, and it's just a little easier to do it before you glue anything. So I'm using this stamp set from Gina K called Funky Leaves, and it's a lot of fun. Those leaves stamp beautifully. If you have this stamp set, or if you don't get it, it's a lot of fun. And again, all the links to my supplies are in the description below, and I'm just going to use that thankful stamp on the outside. And I am just going to move that over just so I have a little bit more room. And I'm just going to position it where I want it. I'm not using any anti-static powder here. I'm just putting the stamp down, and then we'll go ahead and pick it up. And I am going to be inking that with the Wow embossing pad, the clear ultra slow drying ink, and we'll be using Wow's polished gold superfine embossing powder. Wait till you see how this powder melts. It is my favorite. It melts so smooth and so shiny. So you'll see that here as soon as we're done. But I'm just lightly inking the stamp up, and then we'll press it onto the paper just very lightly, because I like to do this step twice. I don't like to press really hard when I have a greeting or any kind of lettering dies or stamps, I'm sorry. I just don't like to smush them down. So I'd rather do 2 passes with light ink. I think it just gives a crisper result. And then I'm bringing this over just to a piece of folded copy paper to catch my powder. And this powder it says super fine on the label, and it means super fine. It's very, very fine powder. And I think it looked pretty good the first time around. I did have some pieces of powder where I didn't want them, so I'm bringing you in a little bit closer so you can see. But I'm just taking a dry paintbrush and carefully going around it. And really, if you just touch the powder and then tap it, it will fall out. It'll fall off. So I'm just doing that just to get it just exactly how I want it, and just brushing off those little flecks, because if they heat set, they're going to turn gold, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would kind of look nice, kind of look like a distressed look if it had little gold splotches around. But anyway, I brushed them off, putting my powder back, and then I've got my heat tool. I've heated it up for about 10-15 seconds, and then I'm coming up from the bottom just because that's my personal preference when I'm heat embossing, and I always start from the bottom and then I'll finish it on the top. And I just can't wait to show you. This is just so this never gets old for me. I love the results, but I'm going to tip it in the light and you'll see just how smooth and shiny this powder melts. It just doesn't bubble. As long as you don't hold the heat in one place for too long, it will not bubble. So I'm bringing in my scoring board, and I have my card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm scoring it at 4.25 right down the middle. This is going to be a US A2 top folding card. We're going to do top folding instead of side folding just because of the way the panel layer is oriented. And then I am going to, while I have the base here, I'm going to bring in my logo stamp and make sure that I have the card opening in the right direction first of all. And then I'm going to stamp my logo onto the back. That way I don't forget to do it later. And then using Gina K's Black Onyx ink. I like the Black Onyx ink, and I also like Simon Says Stamp VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Those are my 2 favorite black inks. And now I also want to stamp the inside of my card, and I'm going to be using the same stamp set, the Funky Leaves. So we have the Thankful stamp from that set on the outside, and then on the inside, I will show you, I'm going to be using the stamp that says For All You Do. We're going to put that on the inside. And I'm just going to position it, and I cut out a little bit of that because it took me a while. The stamps are a little sticky, but I did position it and got it exactly where I wanted it. Inked it up with the Black Onyx. I'm doing it twice. Again, very light touches both times. And it came out super good, super crisp. I really like the way that turned out. And I'm just cleaning off my stamp and putting it back. And this card was inspired by, I don't have the name off the top of my head, but I will put a link to her video in the description. I found it online on YouTube, and I really liked the idea, so I will put a link to her video as well. And there I was pointing out I had a little bit of ink up on the top of that one side of the base. So I'm bringing in a mono sand eraser, and I'm just lightly going in both directions, and it just takes like the top layer of the fibers off, and it smooths it out, and you really can't tell, but it just makes that mark a little bit less noticeable. Okay, so now I'm going to put this card together. And I'm bringing in my matte layer, and we're just kind of eyeballing it and making sure everything fits and is going to line up. And it does. So I'm going to go ahead and take some mint tape, and I'm going to tape the base closed because I just like to have it super flat when I'm gluing onto it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the matte layer down first. Kind of doing this a little bit differently. A lot of times I'll glue my matte or my panel layer to the mat and then glue both of them on to the base, but I want to do something else to that panel layer. So going to get the matte layer down first, and then I'm going to, again, I'm going to tape this base down. I don't have some of these glass mats are magnetic. Mine is not, so I have to use tape, but I don't want this base to move while I'm lining things up. And I'm just positioning that panel, and then I'm going to take a pencil and just outline that heart because I just want to, it's going to help me place the morning glories. And you can see that pencil mark, but I am going to show you here a little bit closer, but it's very, very visible. But that heart morning glories is going to, it's a little bit bigger. It's cut just a little bit bigger, so it'll hide the pencil marks. And I'm just using that as a guide because I know if I get my heart right on top of that, everything else will line up. And then here I'm just making sure, again, before that heart, the Morning Glory glue sets, I just want to make sure one more time everything's going to line up and I don't have to move it, and I don't. Everything looks really good. So I'm just going to set that aside, and then I'm going to go ahead and add another touch to this panel, and I'm bringing in some green twine, and you'll see here in a minute, I should have been paying a little bit closer attention to what I was doing, but that twine, I'm bringing in Gina K's Dot Runner adhesive. It's a very nice strong adhesive, but I'm going to lay down a little strip of adhesive just to hold down the end of the twine while I'm working on it. But anyway, back to the twine. I wasn't really paying attention, and that twine was nice and thin in some areas, and then there were a couple sections that I don't know, like in the manufacturing process, it just got very thick. And I didn't realize that until I had it all wound up where I wanted it. And then I was getting ready to tie the bow. And right here is when I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't look good. It just looked too bulky. And so I didn't like that. So I'm taking it all apart. I took it all apart. I cut a new piece, and then I'm just rethreading the new piece on. So I didn't realize I'd had to pay so much attention to my twine. But anyway, I got it fixed using my paperweight to hold things down a little bit while I make my bow. And I'm just not tying it too tight because I don't want it to bend the paper. And so I'm just getting it where I wanted it, and then I cut off the ends. And that is looking pretty good. I kind of like that. And I really like greens and purples together. Green is a color of nature, and the purple flowers, that's nature. So purple and green, they go well together. And so I was just trying to tie all that in. And then I'm just adding some glue, making sure there's a good amount of glue on the edges just so everything stays down. And then all you really have to do is line it up over that heart, and everything else just lines up so that matte layer has a nice border all the way around. So I just thought I'm going to add one more thing. So I'm bringing in these metallic gold dots, I think, or disco dots. I forget what these are called, but it was on there on the screen. And from Gina K, and I'm just kind of placing a few, kind of seeing where I want to put them. But I ended up putting 3 on the bottom right corner and a couple on the top left corner. And there's these very tiny little dots. You can see them. They're just flying all over the place. So I was just kind of cleaning those up. But I'm just going to use my Gina K Connect glue in the fine tip bottle and put a tiny, tiny little bead of glue down. And then those little dots will stick to them. And that's it. That is the finished card. And that, my friends, is how you can turn any photo into a very special card. You can use any photo, a pet photo, nature, if you have a wedding, and if it's an anniversary card, you could pop a wedding photo in there, and you can just turn these into beautiful cards. So super easy to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for spending some time here with me today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post. Hit that notification bell. And coming up is another video I think you might enjoy. So have a peaceful day. See ya. Bye-bye.